Today, JoJo Siwa. At just 9 years of age, she found fame and fortune as the face of reality show Dance Moms. She then created the JoJo Siwa Phenomenon, sellout tours, and her famous JoJo bows at their peak were one of the most lucrative merchandise lines in the world. Well, today she takes us inside those early deals, revealing how her mum put her central to the negotiations and the harsh lesson she learned early on that she still relies on today. This episode honestly is fascinating. It opens up the business around a child star that I think we rarely get to see. This is the room where it happened. First-hand accounts from behind closed doors in business, inside the rooms, understanding the pressure, and crucially asking, what should you do when it's your turn at the table? Let's do it then. Brought to you by IFS. This is The Room Where It Happened with JoJo Siwa. So Jojo, what is the room that you want to take us into?
When I first signed to Nickelodeon, and I went to a meeting, and her name is Pam. Who was I don't know if she's still at the company. I'm sure she is, but she was basically the head of products at Nickelodeon. And we're going into a meeting with a store. Or I'm sorry, we had a big meeting, and it was because the first product was going into a store, and it was a t-shirt Injustice. And Pam said in that meeting, she said, this isn't a direct quote, but it was along the lines of, if this shirt doesn't sell, nothing else will. And so, this is the test. But prior to this meeting, she had told my mom, we're going to have a meeting, but we don't want JoJo there. And my mom said, absolutely not. She said, it's JoJo's thing. JoJo's going to be there. And so then Pam said that in the meeting, and she said, this is why I didn't want you in the meeting, because I have to be honest like this. And I said, I want you to be. I want to know that. Because then if all of a sudden there's no other products, nobody told me that this one shirt, there was so much riding on this one shirt. And luckily the shirt did very good. But I don't know, I think it just kind of, it took people a second to warm up to me. But then I think your reputation in the industry can build really fast and also crumble really fast. And I think word travels. And I think once people realize that, yeah, I was 12 in the beginning, but I could sit in a boardroom. I could handle a meeting. I would talk. I wouldn't play on my phone. I wouldn't be silly. I wouldn't run around. I cared to be there. You know what I mean?
So when you're in these meetings and you're a teenager, not a fully grown adult, are you aware of how other people are perceiving having a kid in there?
I was always aware. I'm always aware in any room, right? I'm aware in a room if I'm the only female. I'm aware in the room if I'm the only adult. I'm aware in the room if I'm the only young adult. You know what I mean? I think that's very important to know your place. Otherwise, you're just going to be an annoying teenager, right? Those adults don't want to be in a meeting with a teenager. No, they're there to do business. So I have to match up to their level, and I think I was kind of always aware of that.
So what was your role in those meetings?
To be JoJo Siwa. Tell them what to do.
And would you?
Of course. Different breed at 14. You learn respect at about 17.
Yeah, okay. And did you feel listened to?
I did. Early on, it was kind of harder to speak up, but then once people realized, oh, she knows what works. She knows what's going to do good. She's involved. Then it was, what do you think? What should we do? What do you like? What's your favorite thing? Then it was more so, yeah. But I held my own. You walk into a meeting, and if I'm a kid that sits outside of the waiting room, they're not going to speak to me. If you walk into a meeting and you walk up to the first person you see and you say, hi, I'm JoJo, what's your name? And they say, oh, hi, I'm Sarah, nice to meet you. Shit, who's this kid? Yeah. Impressions, baby.
Yes. So interesting. Because as a parent, I sometimes say to my daughter especially, don't be too over the top.
Yeah.
And actually now I think maybe you should be over
Well, no, because if I walked in the room and I said, hi, I'm JoJo Siwa. I'm so happy to be here meeting with you. They'd be like, shut the fuck up.
So the JoJo Siwa that we were seeing was slightly different to the JoJo Siwa that they were getting.
Yeah, of course. That one's boring. Come on. You don't want business, JoJo Siwa.
And was it your mum that had made the decision in the early days for you to be involved in everything, or was it a decision that you made?
I think both of us together. I think there was I have a very good mom, right? Yeah. And she wasn't ever going to not include me in something that was for me. You know what I mean? And same way now that I could be doing everything on my own, but I wouldn't not include her. It almost like we switched seats.
And when you're there, my 12-year-old daughter's here today because she was excited to meet you, right? I imagine Flo sitting in a meeting where someone says, right, if this thing fails, there is nothing else.
Right.
I could imagine that overwhelming and derailing her, right? How how did that not happen to you? Or maybe it did happen to you. Like,
No, it didn't at all.
So
My mentality goes, all right, well then let's make it sell.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like that was just how I was. I said, I'm going to wear it every day. I'm going to make sure that shirt sells. It's not for everybody though. It really isn't. Being a child star, I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing more and more what it is, right? And what goes into it. And it's a lot. It's hard. It's very, very hard, very, very tough. And it's cutthroat and it's thick and it's there's no book on how to do it, right? But I think I had a good concoction of the right kid mentality and the right mom.
If you haven't already subscribed, please do right now. It means you don't miss an episode of The Room Where It Happened, and it helps us attract the brightest and best new brains to the show. We'll carry on the conversation in just a moment. But first, if I asked you to picture AI in action, I reckon you'd think of a large language model or something that you think optimizes your own personal productivity. But have you stopped to think about the impact that AI actually has on the big industries? Industries like aviation, manufacturing, construction, and energy. The kind of businesses that we interact with every single day that rely on AI without us even being aware of it. For example, telecoms. 200 million Americans connect every day using mobile networks maintained with IFS.ai. Industrial AI is IFS.ai. I've been working with IFS for years. I know them really well. I've seen the impact up close and personal, and I'm so proud that they're partnering with Room Where It Happened on this show. And if you're like me and your business deals with assets and you want to deliver the very best class service to your people and your customers, please check them out at IFS.ai. Proud partners of Room Where It Happened. Well, let's talk then about one of the most popular things that you've ever done, something that for a long time really was your trademark, which was the bows, right?
Yes.
So you're someone who at a young age loves the whole idea of algorithm. You love, there's this great phrase, right? Success leaves clues. And I love that because you're looking for the clues for the success. So when you now look back on the success of the JoJo Bow, and I don't know whether you probably wouldn't even know the exact number, but I read online 40, 50, 60 million bows sold around the
90.
world. Is it 90?
Over 90. Yeah, that was the number back in 2018.
So it's probably over 100 million. Let's say over 100 million bows, right?
Yeah.
I'll say that number. You don't need to. Have you looked at why that popped? Because this is what everyone's looking for. Everyone wants to be the next prime. In fact, today walking here, I walked past this Labubu. Have you heard of Labubu?
Yeah.
I walked past the store with Florence this morning and the queue was insane out the door. And she's like, oh, everyone's queuing for Labubu. She knew all about it. I've had KSI in this room talking about Prime and the success of Prime. Everybody wants to find the thing that captures the imagination of the planet, and you did it. So what was it about the bow that just worked? What are the ingredients we should all be looking for if we want something to go?
You know what I think it is? I think a lot of people go, what's successful? How do they do it? And how can I do it? Yeah. And that's very fair. Very, very fair. But I think I never did that. I think I went, what do I have? And I think the bows for me just made sense. They made sense to sell. I was on TV, right? And I could have sold anything. I could have sold bracelets. I never wore a bracelet, but bracelets are trendy. Taylor Swift is a great example. Yeah. She could sell anything. Obviously, she's Taylor Swift. But her bracelets would be so much more successful than if she sold a bow. It wouldn't make sense for her to sell a bow. But friendship bracelets are the thing for her. You know what I mean? So think how many she would sell. I think for me, the bow was the thing. I did wear it every day. It was my life. I did genuinely love it. People saw it. People liked it.
So authenticity.
I think authenticity, yeah. And I think that everyone is unique in that. You know what I mean? It's the more time you spend wondering how people are successful, the less time you'll spend being successful. And I think you just got to kind of, even if you do the wrong thing, you got to put one foot in front of the other and just try. Because, especially with today's world, it's different now. It was different then. Now, success, unfortunately or fortunately, is based off of TikTok. Labubu. Why is Labubu successful? Not because kids are in school. They're trendy over the summer. No one's in school trading their Labubus, right? Like they are with their lunch boxes or their water bottles. Disgusting. Keep your water bottle to yourself. But think about it. Why are they popular? TikTok. Yeah. Think about a movie. Why is a movie popular? Because it becomes a trend on TikTok to go dress up as a thing and go to a movie.
People are writing songs
for TikTok.
I
was like, why am I writing 3-minute songs? They don't get streams on Spotify, but I do it on TikTok and it gets millions. I should write 1-minute songs and just put them on TikTok. You know what I mean? anything nowadays that's popular is because of that platform, which, I mean, it's kind of fascinating.
It's absolutely fascinating. And you've seen the change. I guess one of the
Even
big
like
things...
restaurants. Sorry, not to cut you off. Think about restaurants. Think about if somebody goes, where should I go for London and for a restaurant? They're going to Google, or they're not going to Google anymore. They're going to go on TikTok and be like, trendy restaurants in London. You know what I mean? It's fascinating.
And I think this is why I was so keen to talk to you, because you started off in a world where you basically needed a record label, you needed a PR company, you needed a manager, you needed some people to do your brand deals. We're now entering this world for someone like you who's a creator. I wouldn't say you're a musician, you're a creator, right? Whatever comes your way.
Yeah, I say entertainer, because I'm a
You're
little bit of both.
right?
Yeah.
So you're in a world where really you have so much more control now over
Yeah.
your own world.
Yeah.
Would you take us into some of the mechanics of how this stuff works? Because what we get to see as the public is the top 1% of this stuff. We see the bows for sale. We see the songs in the charts.
Yeah.
We see the tours and we can buy tickets or the TV shows. I'd love to go a bit deeper with you about, like, how do these deals come to pass? How many people are you talking to about whether it's the right or the wrong deal? Like, what are the real mechanics of something like the Nickelodeon deal, for example?
I mean, there's a food chain, right? So it goes from, at that age, from me to my mom to my manager, or my mom to my attorney, and then my attorney to Nickelodeon's attorney, and then Nickelodeon's attorney to the head of talent, and then the head of talent to everything at Nickelodeon. So that's the head of licensing, the music department, everything over there. And so it's a bit of a little bit of a food chain. You have a good team, right? I have a very, very good lawyer who has been with me through everything, and he makes sure that I stay safe and I stay protected and I don't enter any deals that I shouldn't. And he's very much so looks out for me. I mean, he's a great guy. I give a lot of my credit to my mom because she kept me safe. She kept a good eye on me, right? And she didn't let anybody mess or affect with anything in my career. But it's complicated. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of things that, most things, almost everything, I had zero approval over, right? Especially when it comes to the merchandising world. So, like, any clothing that went out, I didn't see it before. There was clothing where I had brown hair in it. Who photoshopped that? There was dolls that had piggy buns, and I used to go on online rants being like, I never approved this. Don't go buy it. And because I would get mad. And it was a learning curve, because I think for a little bit, I can respect that Nickelodeon had never worked with a live human before, and I can respect that I never worked with a big network before, right? And so meeting in the middle, not everything was run by me. And it was such a big empire that it couldn't be run by me, right? Not everything could, but it was hard. There was these big learning curves of, how can we make sure this doesn't happen? How can we make sure that you're not just selling a doll, you're selling a real child's face, right? Like, it has to be authentic to her. It has to look like her. She has to be happy with it.
What answer did you find for how you can have more control?
Honestly, giving up a little bit control. You can adjust how it affects you, though. You can adjust how you feel about things. You can adjust what triggers you. And so I think that, for me, helped me.
And as your fame grew, and we're talking not just US or UK fame, we're talking global fame at this point, how did that sit with you from a kind of mental health perspective?
I think it's still growing, you know what I mean? I think that definitely still is developing, and I'm still learning, and I'm still now I'm at an age where I can see a 9-year-old, and to me a 9-year-old is a child, right? And to me a 14-year-old is a child, whereas 2 years ago a 14-year-old was just somebody who's a little younger than me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But now I think I'm getting older. I'm kind of realizing more so what my life was like compared to the average teenager's life. And I think that it's just what I know.
Yeah. So what was the cost now that you can look back?
I mean, your childhood. You know what I mean? You give up going to the playground. You give up making dumb mistakes. You give up sneaking out. You give up fun little jobs after school. You give up school. I never realized how much you missed out on school until I had my first girlfriend who went to school. And I would see her with her friends, and I would see her do homework, and I thought it was cool. Like, obviously, you take that for granted when you're in school. You think, God, this sucks. But as somebody who didn't have it, it's cool. It's really cool. Like, it's cool to be a senior and own the school. You know, it's cool.
From a business perspective, as a young person who can now reflect on what went on in that time, what's the business move that you're most proud of in that early period?
I think that's actually a conversation that when I first came to Nickelodeon, they said, well, what does high school JoJo look like? And I said, I'm 14, I am high school JoJo. They said, no, but what does like older grown-up JoJo look like? And I said, I can't tell you, I'm a human. I can't tell you what I'm gonna look like in 2 years from now. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I had a massive kids empire and it was incredible. And I could still be doing it. I could still be on Dream the Tour. I could still be making YouTube videos. But I'm so happy that I'm not, because I feel like now I'm old enough to where I can confidently say that that is on a shelf and I'm looking at it and it's absolutely beautiful. And that's it. There's no chance now of that not being successful. It is successful. It worked. I did it. I achieved what I wanted to achieve. And now I'm far enough away from it where I look back at it and I don't think anymore like, oh, I wish I could do it. Oh, I wish I could be successful. Oh, I wish I could make a go of things. Yeah. I look back and I think, I did it. I really did it. Everything I wanted to do, I did it. You know what I mean? It feels so like fulfilling.
Do you remember the moment that you thought, right, I'm going to look different now to the public. I'm ready for a change?
No, it kind of just like developed over time. It really did. Even like just slowly but surely. I remember on my 18th birthday, I was like, do I want to wear a bow? Then I was like, I really don't. And that was kind of like a first. But
was that not a bit scary?
Well, not really. I mean, it's life. Like, it's like...
But it's also a big business. And I think of like the day that you are like, right, I don't want to be this anymore. It's not just your decision. This is lawyers, global offices, international sales.
It was, but it was a business built off of authenticity. And the second that I was wearing the bow and didn't want to anymore, it wasn't authentic anymore. And so the business would have crumbled. You know what I mean? If it would have become fake. And even though I don't wear a bow anymore, that doesn't mean that I don't love it. That doesn't mean that I don't stand behind it. That doesn't mean that I'm erasing because also the internet, everything's still out there. So I'm still wearing a bow right now. Most kids don't even realize that I look like this. I love walking by 5-year-olds on the street. This happens genuinely more often than you would think. Little kids watching a JoJo video on their phone. Little kids wearing a JoJo bow, JoJo backpack. Little kids talking to their parents about JoJo Siwa. I'm standing right next to them. Yeah. They will never know it's me.
When you first released a very different music video and a very different single to the one that you were famous for, can you tell us kind of what happens in the background before that moment? Because the people who are part of the traditional JoJo empire, surely there has to be a moment where you say, listen, everyone, things are about to change.
No, honestly, you don't give anyone a heads up. You don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness on that one.
So all these people that are part of the empire, are they just taken by surprise by this? Honestly,
yeah. Yeah, but I had to do it, right? Because I was not taken as an adult. I wasn't looked at by friends as an adult, my family as an adult. I mean, my immediate family, yes, but my extended family, no. And especially not by the public. I would go and record a song, and this song would be incredible, but it would be a little bright. And I'd be like, people will say I'm singing a toddler song. You can't do it. I was too young. And so I had to run. And I had to make a very large smackdown on I am not a baby. I'm not a kid. And yeah, it didn't give anybody a heads up. It was fun. It was a moment. We all do something.
How do you reflect on it?
Honest, right before I posted the first teaser for my song Karma, I hadn't really done anything like that yet, right? I was always still very family friendly, very wholesome. And as I did, I walked across the street. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I walked across the street to Starbucks, and I was like, oh my God. It's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm stupid, but I couldn't call it off at this point because it was already done. Video's already filmed.
And what caused that fear at that moment?
I'm throwing away everything I have. I'm throwing away my entire career for a risk. I'm throwing away this beautiful, wholesome life that I know to make a splash and become an adult and cross over that bridge. But instead of crossing the bridge, I'm diving into the water trying to swim to the other island, right? And I'm still treading water in the middle trying to get to that other island. But I just dove in. And I go to Starbucks and I'm like, this is horrible. I was like, I'm doing this to mothers with kids, and their kids are going to see this. And why am I doing this? I love kids. Why am I doing this to the kids? Now they're not going to be able to like JoJo. And I made sure that I separated it all, right? And I had JoJo Siwa kids, and then I have JoJo Siwa. So that way kids who are on Spotify, right? They're not listening to the kids' music, then all of a sudden stumble upon Karma's and I that's my nightmare. I never wanted that to happen. And so I made sure I separated it all. But all of a sudden I was just having this moment and I walked into Starbucks and this mom comes up to me and she was like, hey, my daughter loves you. Do you mind if she comes and says hi? And I was like, yeah, totally, like totally. And mind you, I'm in the worst mood because I'm like, what am I doing? And I look over and this little girl, she's about 2 or 3 years old. She has a JoJo bow in. And I'm just like, this is my sign. I have to call it off. I can't do it. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. What am I doing? And the mom goes over to the little girl and she's like, look who that is. Forgive my French here for a second. And daughter that's listening out there, cover your ears for a second. But the 2-year-old or 3-year-old goes, JoJo fucking Siwa! And I was so caught off guard. 2 years old. And I said, I'm sorry, what? She goes, Mom, it's JoJo fucking Siwa! And I was like, and the mom was like, I'm so sorry, I'm so embarrassed. I was like, you don't even know. I was like, I'm having this catastrophe today about how I'm changing my career for these little kids. And this little kid just came up to me and just said the most adult thing ever. And I was like, I think it's a sign from up above that, like, it's okay.
What was the reaction like from the people in the JoJo empire that hadn't been told what was happening when they finally realised what was happening?
Most people liked it.
But were there not awkward conversations with bow distributors and the people that are responsible for your kind of previous career, if you like?
Honestly, that's what they get for not letting me in on those conversations anyways. Because I never got to be included on those conversations. And so they kind of...
What do you mean, those conversations?
Like with the bow distributor, right? With the toy makers, right? It always was... Nickelodeon was a strong middleman, and they never let the bridges cross. And I always wished I would. I always wanted to meet with the clothing designers and the toy makers and the bow makers, and they never would let me. And so when it came time for those awkward conversations, they had to handle them. I didn't.
So was there a part of you actually that with this, because it was...
But I also was allowed to. Like, I didn't do it when I was still a child star.
Yeah.
I did it. Karma came out when I was essentially 21. It was a few months before my 21st birthday. I'm old. I can do whatever I want at that point. You know what I mean? If I would have done it at 18, I'm still under a thick Nickelodeon contract. Different story. Only thing under contract still was my merchandise. And so it even though I still was seemed, this is what I mean, I was seemed to be a very young career and a very young, but at the same time, I am an adult. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be that.
Can we talk about the public reaction to the move as well? Because people hate change.
Yeah.
Did you realize how resistant to change human beings were until you went through this period?
Yeah. I mean, people have been mean to me for forever. So I don't think I was really caught off guard by it. I was more caught off guard by just things that happened internally with people that I was working with that I didn't find out about until later. And I don't need to shove anybody under the rug, but it's interesting. Just always know that people will say one thing to your face and another behind your back. And if you're somebody that's saying something behind the back, it's always going to come out. And I think that's hard to navigate. People having a fun reaction, that's not hard to navigate. Laugh with them.
So those people that you might have trusted, what type of things were they saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember, I'll talk about this on somebody who should have been the most supportive of my music career when it comes to music and developing me as an artist and that type of thing. Found out that he said, because SNL did a parody skit on Karma, and he said that was embarrassing and that I should be ashamed of it. And what do you mean? It was on SNL. That is an honor. That means that enough people know about it for them to poke at it. That's flattering. You know what I mean? It's weird to say that it's an honor to be mocked, but on SNL, Saturday Night Live, it's an honor to be mocked. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I think that some people just are sneaks.
From a marketing perspective, whether people loved or didn't love it, do you think it worked because it got... I mean, I don't think there's been a rebranding in the last 2 years more talked about than yours.
Thank you. I think it absolutely did work. I think it worked because I had fun. You know, I'm trying to, I think because I love talking about my shelf now of my childhood career. I have this thing on this shelf that I look at and I go, that worked. That was successful. I did it. I'm not for a while I was chasing that and I was trying to match that and be that again and find that success again. But I've given that up because what's the point? That worked. That's done. You know what I mean? I don't want that. I don't want to mess with that success. I want to leave that on the shelf and I want to dust it off and make sure it looks pretty. But I want to leave it. I don't want to break it. And so I think now, like, it worked not because of the numbers behind it, but it worked because I had a good time. I had a good laugh. I'm going to tell my kids about it one day.
So what happened that made you realize this reinvention isn't actually really who I am?
I would put $1 million on you will never guess what I'm about to tell you. My house almost burned down. And that made me crack. I don't know why. I don't know what. But it was the California fires, the ones that just happened. And my house, it was on this side of the mountain. And it climbed up the mountain. And it was right at the top of the mountain, and it could have come down super quickly. But they luckily stopped it, but I had to evacuate and had to pull all my things out of the house. And I went down to my parents' house in Palm Springs, and I was there, and I just broke. We were planning on doing a new music video for this incredible song, and the song never came out, and because I put it all on hold. And the music video was supposed to have fire in it, and it was supposed to be like me lighting things on fire, bit of arson. And I called the video off because I was like, we cannot do arson right now. Like, my house is about to burn down. There's these horrible fires that are destroying lives. Like, we cannot do arson right now. What am I thinking? And so I called the video off. I paused it on that. And then I got off the phone and I was like, what am I just thinking in general? What am I doing? And it was like a week-long crisis spiral of just like, I need to find it.
So how would you now describe JoJo Siwa and the place she's in?
Honestly, I'm in a place right now that is my favorite place I've ever been in life. I'm sitting back and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I'm going on this tour right over here in the UK and I'm not overthinking it. I'm not stressed about it. I'm excited about it. Whereas before I would be so worried about, will this be good enough, right? Yeah. Will people like this? Will I do good, right? Doesn't matter, like stuff like that. And I'm just in a place where I'm just so excited. I'm doing what I love.
So who's in the sort of team now? Are you?
It's literally my mom and I.
Is it?
It really is.
No record labels, no managers?
No record labels, no managers. I have a brand deal manager who brings me some stuff for social media. I have my mom, who I would say is my manager. But no managers. I am signed to an agent. I've been with CAA for probably like 8 years. I've been with them for forever. I have my lawyer. I have my publicist, and I have my videographer. That's it. No social media manager, nothing.
See, this is what's really fascinating for me now from a business perspective. If you wanted to do what you want to do now, 20 years ago, the first thing they would have said is, well, we better get you a record deal. Yeah. Well, without a record deal, you had no voice. You had no... The world has shifted now.
It's shifted.
Totally towards...
Being in a record deal was probably... Again, one of those things where it was right because it got me here, but it was, if I could go back in time and if I could, I would not do it differently myself. But if somebody said, hey, here's where I'm at in life, and they were right where I was, what should I do? I would say, stay independent. Do not sign to a record label. Do not do it because even if you're in control, you're not in control. You're waiting around for more people. Be in your own driver's seat.
So my daughter, who's here today, sings, dances, performs, wants to be on the stage, wants to be on the screen.
Yeah.
What's your advice for someone like that who's emerging into this very different creator economy now?
Yeah, it's very different now. I think, honestly, for musicians, if you are signed to a label right now, they will not do anything with you until you're viral on TikTok. So go off with the label system because you can go viral on TikTok on your own and then you're in complete control on your own. But that's a struggle. That's a really bad struggle right now for a lot of artists. And artists who are signed to labels go, how are we going to promote my music? How are we going to get my music on the radio? And they say, oh, well, when it goes viral on TikTok, we'll talk. You need to get your song to go viral on TikTok before we release it. Otherwise, we won't release it. Like, it's a very hard system to be in. So, unfortunately, if I had to give somebody advice who wants to be a musician, it would be to sing on TikTok.
Content creators?
Just start posting. No one can do your stuff better than you can, right? No one can do it as well as you can. And it's not easy. A lot of the best content creators make it look easy, which is why it gives the illusion of anybody can do it. Anybody can do it, but the consistency, the quality, the knowledge of what will perform well. Anybody can make a video, yeah. But what on? It will exactly. You have to know that. You know what I mean? And so my dad always will say to my mom, like, oh, all you do is you're on social media for 8 hours a day. And my mom was like, yeah, but I'm knowing what's going on right now, so that way I can be better at, you know what I mean? It's complicated. It's very complicated, but it's consistency, immersing yourself in it, and caring. Don't do it because it looks easy. You know what I mean? Nothing's easy. Nothing's easy.
On The Room Where It Happened, we speak to high-performance CEOs, founders, industry leaders, and there's one thing that they all have in common. They know the value of energy, of clarity, of consistency. But for years, I struggled with that myself, especially actually when it came to sleep. But then I found this. This is Vitals by Heights. Just 2 capsules a day, packed with 20 essential nutrients, omega-3s, vitamin D3. This is backed by over 1,400 scientific studies. And honestly, after a couple of weeks, I noticed a genuine change. Deeper sleep, sharper focus, more energy when I was at work. And my sleep monitor backed it all up. Because the truth is, in business, you can't afford to run on empty. So if you're looking to show up at your best, start with your sleep. Head to heights.com/room or use the code ROOM20 and you'll get 20% off your first subscription order, or just click the link in the description. So if you were 20 years behind and you were emerging now, right, in the modern creator economy as JoJo Siwa, what would you be doing?
Am I 22 or am I 9 again?
You're 9 again.
Oh, I'm 9 again? Well, I wouldn't be on social media because you can't be till you're 13. So we'll say I'm 13 again.
Okay.
God, I see, what I had wouldn't work anymore. It doesn't work on social media the way it is anymore. And so it's not long-form YouTube videos anymore. It's short and it's TikTok. So I don't know. I mean, I would look the same, but I would just be doing whatever's trending, but in my own JoJo-y way. I don't know. God, I don't know.
But this is what I think is interesting, and people don't talk about luck often enough in business or in life. If the greatest footballer was born 300 years ago before football was invented, he's not the greatest footballer we've ever known. If the best AI programmer was born in 1980,
you're screwed.
You're screwed because you're too early for your thing. Like, I think luck and timing is absolutely integral.
Yep.
It felt like you had that. You had the moment.
It all is, you get what you create, right? And you don't just wake up and it, boom, magically happens. The best footballer isn't born the best footballer. God, no, he's born a baby. Yeah, sure, you got some natural talent, but I guarantee if you take a kid that's a naturally talented football player, what, can he catch a ball and run? Incredible. Can he kick a ball around? I was thinking American football for a second.
I'll let you have that.
But we're talking English football. Anybody can kick a ball and run. Sure, that makes you a talented football player, right? But the most talented football player is the most talented football player because he trained and he worked really hard to it. He didn't just all of a sudden be 30 one day and go, I'm amazing. Mm-hmm. No, God, no, that started when he was 3. You know what I mean? And we work towards that. And so, I don't know, I get what you're saying of forever ago, but AI didn't even exist forever ago, right? And so there was no way to know that this person was going to be this. And I think you have to figure out in this world right now, today, what am I good at? How can I make a difference? Because you don't get a change when you live.
So were you successful then because of hard work, because of talent, or because of luck?
All 3. Absolutely all 3. 100% all 3. Luck without the talent and the hard work to back it up would never work. Mm-hmm. Talent without the hard work and the luck would never work. And hard work without the talent and without the luck would never work. Hard work and luck could go together.
Yeah.
Talent and luck could go together. But all 3 will go together.
And boom.
And boom.
There's one big thing, though, that the creator economy has given people like you, which you didn't have before. If we rewind 20 years, right? You release a song. If it sells, everyone loves it. If it doesn't, then you release a different song. Now you can release something, and not only do you know whether it's sold, you know exactly what people think of it. I mean, the like and the dislike button on YouTube
is crazy.
It's probably caused more mental health challenges for artists and creators than most things. The fact that anyone could just leave a comment. And like, I did look at some of the comments under your two most recent videos on the way here, and I thought, how does a human being
It's brutal.
cope with that?
You turn it off at night and you find what's real in front of you and you embrace that because it's brutal. It is brutal, but I'm very lucky. I have a good family. I have a perfect boyfriend. I get to turn it off at night and turn to good. And that's not the situation for everybody, but I'm lucky that that's mine.
And was the reaction to your rebrand not hard? Because what I was thinking is that everything you did as JoJo worked. The bows, the songs, the tours, they all sold. Everyone loved it. Then you bring out something new.
See,
it's a very different reaction.
This is what's interesting is yes and no.
Yeah.
People see everything worked. Zero the case. Absolutely not. There are so many things that did not work. I had an app, did not work. I had loads of products that did not work. I had songs that did not work. I had videos that did not work. Oh my God, the amount of times I would put a video up and take it down in an hour because it was tanking. I wouldn't even give it a chance. So it did not work. So many things did not work. But now in future, right, you look back and you go, God, that was incredible. Well, at the time, it was really difficult. You know what I mean? It was really hard. But you look back and you just remember the good of it. And so I think that's the thing for right now. Like, there's even things in the Karma era, right, that we did that did not work. There's songs that I did that did not work, but they're still out there. But they just... And so I don't know. I think that, like, that's to me where I'm learning, like, it's so much more about, like, internal passion and fire than it is about, like, numbers.
See, I love the phrase, what's hard for you isn't necessarily bad for you. Like, those moments were hard for you, right? When you struggled or you failed when you were young.
No,
they weren't
good.
bad for you. Because when you had this kind of moment of public criticism and derision, your skin had been built in those early times. And if it no longer served you, the public eye life, would you just be happy to go, do you know what? I've had a great run.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something else.
God, yeah. Absolutely. I think there's no escaping it. You know what I mean? I will always be what I am. I will always go down the street and people will always say, oh, you're this, that. You know what I mean? And people have that if they do one TV show, one episode, they'll still be getting, you know what I mean? They've done a lot, you know what I mean? But I think I can't speak for future me, but I'm sure I'll go through phases.
What would you, at the moment, what does the future look like?
Well, I think there's beautiful kids in the future. I think there's a beautiful
You've
family.
mentioned that a few times. I sense a broody JoJo Siwa here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, very much so. I want to be a mom. I've wanted to be a mom since I was like 11 for forever. I've always loved little kids. And now I'm like the age where it's like actually getting realistic. You know what I mean? So I get more excited. I want to have a family. I want to just live and just be happy. I've had so much good life that, whatever comes my way, I want to have fun with and just enjoy.
And are you glad that you're not on the kind of constant treadmill now that you used to be as a kid?
No, I'm on a different treadmill. Yeah. I'm on the same. It's still going.
It feels as relentless as it always has.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing's slowed down. No way. Oh God, it's gotten harder as you get older. Absolutely, because you get more aware of it.
And that's not exhausting.
It is. It absolutely is, but you do it anyways.
Brilliant. Look, what an interesting conversation. I think, like, what I really enjoy about this is you did something totally incredible, right? And people might have thought that you were on the edges of that incredible thing. But actually the truth is, and it's emerged through this chat, you were at the center of it. Your mum put you at the center of it.
She did.
Which then meant when you had to rebrand, when you'd had enough of being the character that had been created for you, you had to be at the center of it again. And I actually thought before this conversation that maybe I was going to meet someone that was a bit broken by what had happened in the last few years with some of the criticism and like the Saturday Night Live thing. For me, watching it felt like bullying. Maybe it felt different for you. But I thought that you might have been damaged by what's happened. But actually, I think you've learned a huge amount.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could be very easily, but I think the more you can enjoy something, the better. Yeah. I mean, there's so much more good in the world than there is bad. Look at your daughter. Yeah. She comes in here and she has the biggest smile on her face. She can't even hold the clapper near me because she's so excited. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reason why I'm happy, because that means so much more than what any bully would ever say, ever.
Your relationship now is very interesting because you've got two people that I guess are in a kind of similar space.
Yeah.
But they've done things very different at very different ages.
Yeah.
So have you been able to offer any advice?
We both help each other. We both are really good at being there for each other, helping each other, giving advice when advice is asked. I think that's a big thing, especially with a partner, especially with two people who are in both kind of in the same workspace but very different. Only give advice if you are asked to give advice. Otherwise, give respect, give support. Otherwise, it's going to feel, I know more than you know. Yeah. He tells me, you don't need to be doing everything. You don't need to be doing things that you're not supposed to do. You know, he really keeps me on my rails.
Being intentional.
Yeah.
And the final question, I remember you saying once, I can never imagine a time when I don't wear a bow. Right?
Yeah.
And you were kind of wedded to your beliefs.
Yeah.
I feel throughout this conversation, you are someone who is much more open to not knowing necessarily what the future holds or how you're going to feel about yourself or your life in 6 months or 6 years. Is that fair?
Absolutely fair. I think not only am I open to not knowing, but I'm open to I'm open to new ideas, right? I'm not so stuck in ways.
That's so exciting.
It is.
That's where the excitement lies. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Loved it.
Nice to meet you, mate.
Thank you. Thank you, JoJo.
What a fascinating conversation. I mean, that bit where JoJo says, I'm JoJo fucking Siwa. It's like an insight into the kind of energy that she would have brought to the room in those early days in her career. And I think that, you know, when you've got JoJo and her mum pretty much taking control of their side of the conversation, I would imagine, as she alluded to in the conversation, that at times they weren't the very best deals that she could have landed. But crucially, you have to ask yourself now whether that matters, because they were still the deals that made JoJo Siwa one of the most recognizable faces and performers on the planet. You know, obviously my daughter, who we mentioned a few times in the conversation, knows exactly who she is, but so do all of her friends. So do so many of the parents that we're friends with. And I actually said to Florence on the way here to do this record today, I said, is JoJo Siwa more or less famous than she was a few years ago? And Florence said something really interesting. She said, people have a different opinion about her than a few years ago, but I think she's probably more famous than ever before. And what about when I said to her, your rebrand caused a lot of people to have a reaction, positive or negative? Her answer to that was, well, that means it's a success. And I think one of the challenges that JoJo is always going to have is that the barometer by which she measures success is how many people are talking about me. And I think the truth is that that can cost you your mental health. I think it can be draining. I think it can be constant. But actually, I feel that the person sitting next to me today, for someone who was a child star, seems so well-rounded, seems finally at ease with the fact that what she did as a young kid, she spoke about her shelf, didn't she, a lot? What she did as a young kid is something that she can now reflect on as an unqualified success and now explore and do something a bit different with her life. And I think that she's in a place where that's exactly what she's doing. She's exploring, and by her own admission, she's going to get stuff wrong, she's going to get stuff right. But I think all of us can learn a huge amount from someone that has been there, done it, and literally got the JoJo Siwa t-shirt. Don't forget, if you want more of these kinds of chats, then all you have to do is hit subscribe. Honestly, it changes the kind of people that we can attract to the show. Please, if you like this, pass it on to someone else who might love hearing this conversation with JoJo. And don't forget, you can also check out the Room Where It Happened newsletter, which is over on LinkedIn, and join the 60,000 people who already subscribe to that. But look, you've just been in the Room Where It Happened with JoJo Siwa, and I'll see you next time.